In just 2 years, the Nintendo Switch has become my favorite video game console ever, and has changed my life in a way no video game itself ever could. I mean, it inspired me to make this channel, which has led to so many awesome opportunities. I spend so much time making videos, concept trailers, and everything, and like, it feels like my life revolves around Nintendo and the Switch, and honestly, I love it. I love the Switch. I'm so happy that Nintendo's doing well, and I'm so happy the Switch has turned out, well. I'm just glad that it's good, and everyone seems to like it for the most part. However, as I'm sure you all know, the Switch is now 2 years old. We're heading into the Switch's 3rd year. We're no longer at the start of the console's lifetime, and that makes the problems that I do have with it a lot more apparent, and I can't just use the excuse, oh, they'll probably fix that later, because it's been 2 years since the console's launch, and most of these problems aren't fixed. So while, as I just said, I do love the Nintendo Switch, I just have to get that out of the way, because whenever I'm somewhat negative against Nintendo, I get dislike bombed. There are still 5 problems that I have with the Switch. I'm making this video to not only share the problems, but to ask you guys if you have any problems. I know a lot of people do have similar problems to mine, or all new different situations, so let me know down in the comments below, and like the video if you agree with any of these. I don't know, let's just get into it. Okay, so without stalling, the first problem is the UI. I'm gonna lump so many things into the UI just because I could make this list go on forever. Themes, the fact that apps like Netflix aren't here and YouTube just got here. The fact we don't have a freaking internet browser on our tablet Switch console thingy in 2019. The fact that there's no activity monitor. The fact that there's just nothing here. The Me creator is in a menu. There's no menu music. The friends code system just doesn't really work at all. It's 2019. Why are we still running friend codes, especially when we have a paid online service? Why can't we just use that? Overall, while the UI of the Switch is obviously functional, and that does take #1 priority, it shouldn't look like this 2 years into the console's life. I mean, over, like 30 million people have the Switch at this point? 30 million people turn on their devices at least once a week, probably, maybe even more than that, maybe less. I know I use the Switch like every day. You don't want them to just see this. Come on, Nintendo, give us something a little bit interesting. Number 2 is a relatively smaller complaint, because my bigger complaints I'm going to save a bit towards the end, but this is the price of accessories. Now, a little bit of a backstory, I don't typically buy like accessories or extra controllers for my system, but with the Switch, I had to buy a second pair of Joy-Con. I mean, the Switch's whole thing is multiplayer, and while yeah, you do have 2 Joy-Con, so if you want to play split Joy-Con, you can, that's just not a really good solution. And even if you are fine using single Joy-Con play, you can't use 4 people, so you're gonna have to buy another set of Joy-Cons if you wanna actually, like throw a party and have people playing Mario Kart or whatever. However, $90 is just simply unacceptable, especially since the Joy-Con, wait for it, aren't even that perfect. I know everyone was freaking out with the amount of technology that were shoved into these little things at launch, and yeah, the battery life is great, but these things are not durable at all. The left Joy-Con I got at launch still disconnects, my sticks get stuck and occasionally drift. The entire sliding mechanism on them pretty much just doesn't work, so you don't have to press the little detach button at the end to detach it. You can just slide them off without even holding that button down. And it's not like I've put these Joy-Cons through rigorous use. I mean, I just use my Switch normally. I don't do like drop tests or anything. I don't drop my controllers or anything like that. Especially dock prices too. Like, are you kidding me? Nintendo charges $80 for another dock. That's so stupid. And regardless, I'd be fine with that if we could get third-party docks. But I bought a third-party dock for $50, and then like version update Switch UI 5.0 came out, which started making third-party docks brick your system. To my knowledge, we still haven't had an update on that, so my third-party dock is just sitting here in limbo, so I had to buy a second actual dock to take place of where my third-party dock was. This entire thing's just a mess, Nintendo. If you're gonna make us pay this much money for accessories and controllers and all this stuff, make sure they actually work. Next up, the eShop. I know a lot of people say that there are too many games on the eShop, and I don't think that's the problem. While yeah, it's kind of weird that pretty much anything can get on the Nintendo Switch eShop, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I'm of the opinion that it's not like you're gonna be forced to buy everything. Why not just let any developer put up what they want, and then you can buy it if you want? However, where I do start to dislike Nintendo's let-it-all-in approach is when it impacts the shopping experience. The fact that the first page the eShop takes you to is the recent releases section is just dumb. On top of that, there's the featured tab, which, like, what? The featured tab literally only shows you games that you already knew existed. It's like advertising things like Smash Bros. Like, no one didn't know this existed. The featured tab should be used to highlight indies that you might not have heard of, or maybe games related to other games you've bought on your Switch. The eShop right now is currently a mess, and it's overrun with shovelware and not really good games. I don't think Nintendo should stop letting these games in, you just gotta fix the curation system on the eShop. My next problem, I'm sure you've heard of it before, it's the Switch Online service. Now, I'm sure you are tired of hearing people rant about this, and so am I, so I'll keep this incredibly brief. But oh man, this thing is just not good. I'm not one of those people who get so pissed about it because it doesn't really impact me. I have a family plan and I split it with like 6 of my friends, so the overall cost for me comes out to be minuscule, and it's yearly, so it doesn't really matter. But goddamn, when I get into a Smash Bros match and it looks like a PowerPoint, and I know in the back of my head that I'm paying for the online, it makes me want to punch my system. If you're going to charge for online, make it work, please. Everyone, and I mean everyone, thought that Nintendo would implement dedicated servers once they launched the Switch Online service. If you say you didn't expect them to do that, you're lying to yourself. Why else would they charge money to pay online? But no, it's still peer-to-peer in 2019, especially with a game like Smash Bros. That just doesn't work, and we're seeing that with matches that work perfectly sometimes, but matches that look like slideshows both in the same session. If you're gonna charge for online, you gotta fix the online. Next up, this is kind of a problem I've had with Nintendo in general for a while now. I guess it's not necessarily the Switch, it's just something I really want to discuss about Nintendo, and I kind of need to get it off my chest. Nintendo might just be the least transparent company in the video game industry. Now, what do I mean by transparency? We know pretty much nothing about what goes on at Nintendo in the minds of the developers and whatnot until they either show a trailer or release the game. Now, obviously that in itself isn't a bad thing, but we're seeing it affect various games. For example, we recently got that message that Metroid Prime 4 was being delayed. That was amazing. I'm so glad that Nintendo did that. That is the type of transparency I'm talking about here. However, you can look back. I mean, we didn't even get patch notes for the first few Smash Bros. Ultimate updates. If a company's gonna push a game to be big in the esports scene like Nintendo has surprisingly been doing, you can't not have patch notes. That's just ridiculous. This lack of transparency really hit me recently because I've become a huge fan of the game Rainbow Six Siege. If you don't know, it's a tactical team-based shooter 5-on-5 action developed by Ubisoft. I love the game so much, and while I was watching like the esports tournament or whatever so that I could see when they revealed the new operation, which is like a new season I guess, they went through nearly every single change that they were making to the game and explained why. They discussed how player feedback helped them, they knew various characters were overpowered, they discussed their intentions, they admitted their shortcomings. It was seriously eye-opening. As a lifelong Nintendo fan, I didn't know other companies were that transparent and listening to their fans. Nintendo's been getting better at it, sure, but I still feel like Nintendo is not at the top of their game when it comes to transparency. You can even see it now with the amount of games that we have a logo for and nothing else. Sure, I get the fact that they're going to want to surprise people with a trailer to get maximum clicks and all that through a direct, but I just feel like they're keeping us in the dark about a few too many things. Nintendo's never really been a transparent company, but we recently got that awesome Metroid Prime 4 message, as I just said, and we're getting patch notes for Smash Bros. And all sorts of stuff, so it makes me hope that they're going to become more transparent, but for now, they're not really, and that's what I want to see. So with that out of the way, those are my 5 problems with the Switch. I know that last one kind of got into Nintendo as a whole, but oh well. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure to like the video if you did enjoy. Subscribe if you are new for all sorts of Switch content. I promise my next few videos will be a lot more positive. I feel like going into the 3rd year of this console's life cycle, we gotta stop being so forgiving of Nintendo. I mean, some of these things, like, seriously, there's no internet browser. Anyway, I don't want to get right back into the issues that I have, because I could rant for years. Thank you all for watching. I'm Thomas from the Switch Top, signing off. Peace.